So just checking everything that I've got here, make sure I've got all the pages that I need, and we're going back again, looking at Citadels, Starforts, Citadels, ancient salt waterways, and how they functioned. But I want to take a special look at, we're looking at Scotland again, and we're looking at Aberdeen. So this is part 5, continuing on. But instead of looking at Aberdeen, you know, as I'm going on putting these together, I'm realising that I'm talking about the Starforts, I'm talking about the Waterways, but I'm not really bringing the stars and the constellations into it. So what we're going to do now is we're going to bring the constellations, how they sit over Aberdeen and the Shire, basically. So here you have Aberdeen Airport, and right next to Aberdeen Airport you have the Tire Bagger. So the Tire Bagger, strange name, it means the place of the fox, which is very interesting because the place of the fox is where the fox comes down. Let me get this. This is Stellarium software. So I'm spinning myself around again. So driving everybody mad probably, but the House of Cephas is here, and the place of the fox, well, there's the fox there, and the word Tire Bagger, which is the hill in Aberdeen. Sorry, it was on there. Just before you come to Blackburn, and it's in between Dice, at the back of Dice. So this Tire Bagger Hill is Kirkhill Forest, and there's the Tire Bagger Hill there. Just here there's a standing stone circle there, and that is the corner of the House of Cephas, and Cephas is like there, the great king. Cassiopeia is his wife, and that sits between Aberdeen and Dundee area. Cephas moves over Aberdeenshire, Aberdeen, and slightly further up Fraserburgh and so on. And this is the Northern Cross, Cygnus the Swan, and it sits over, surprisingly, a little place called Stricken. And I'll actually look at Stricken. Let's go to the map. So the constellations here, these houses move over this area. What I want to look at one point is Donald Trump's mini house. Why is there? The whole idea of this recordings are to show what I've discovered regarding Starforts, ancient waterways, and salt systems, how these large buildings, like this here Trump's golf course, it sits in the Starfort, which is quite obvious a Starfort, but they were actually salt canal systems. As the water came in, the water levels were much higher. These estate burns and canals carried the water, and they carried the water inland to places like King's Seat and to further up the coast. What was I thinking there? I was thinking of Stricken. So Stricken up beside Fraserburgh. So these constellations move along this whole sort of area, yeah. And Stricken, it's funny because Stricken, there is in the mountain there's an army base hidden in the mountain. So it's probably easier putting it in. Is it Stricken or is it Salkin? But it's important to show, because their ancestors sort of mapped all this. It's Stricken. Is it Stricken? Am I getting the names of the places mixed up? No, it's Stricken. So we look here, jumping back again, you've got Cygnus the Swan, and Cygnus the Swan is the Northern Cross. Cephas, if you watched other stuff, follow my stuff on Facebook, Cephas is where the word Kepha in Hebrew or Hebridean, Hebraic, Kepha is Peter, and Peter is Peter's pearly gates, and that is why you've got places like Peter Cooter and Mary Cooter, Mary and Peter. And Cassiopeia, he's the king of Egypt, or sorry, he's the king of Ethiopia, and she's the queen. And there's a whole story goes on between her, Perseus, and Andromeda. Andromeda gets sacrificed to Cetus, the Leviathan, the beast, which is part of the Great Eridanus snake taking you down into the underworld. And Perseus, the son of God, the son of Zeus, intervenes. I was about to say interferes, but no, he intervenes, and this all happens over Persia and Perseus, and Andromeda's over Dundee, Cassiopeia's over Dundee, and there's a whole mythology in Greek and Egyptian and Coptic, Ethiopian even, mythology, and Chinese. It's all written there, but these are also parts of the brain. But what I wanted to do here is not just look at the Starforts, ancient waterways and canal systems and all that kind of stuff. What were they? Now you see the gaps between the constellations. Now this is an artist's impression, of course, but the gaps between are the waterways, the dark spaces. They're the dark waterways, and these houses move over what we understand. I hope this is making sense. What we understand as Starforts. So stricken, I promise, stricken. Don't get lost in what I'm saying. Now, in order to see this, we know where stricken is now, so in order to see this, let's take that away, because I don't want to be hindered by boundaries. Okay, now this should be quite obvious to see once you know what you're looking for. So we've got a bird with wings. Yeah, this is actually the wrong way around. I don't know if we can turn this round, can I? Yeah, I don't know. I probably could. I've not got a decent mouse, that's the problem. Anyway, stricken is actually shaped like a large bird. We can actually see the head sits up here. There's the head there. The neck comes down, and the wing comes under, and the wing comes up, and then there's another wing comes up here, and the head, the back of the body continues up to the neck and the head of the swan. So stricken ancient times, and the waterway, because this dark area around is the waterway, and these gardens were the salt banks collecting the salt water, and of course you have stricken lodge and estates, and this is what I hope to show with these videos, that the estates are East Starter Motors, and the estates are connected to the three bright stars. In Cygnus the Swan, the three bright stars are Deneb, Altair and Albiro, and these three stars, in all the constellations there'll be three bright stars, sometimes more, but three bright stars, and these are known as deacons, and these deacons are the estates, Eastata. So as the constellations move over, energizing the earth and moving over the waterways, these star forts and estates, represented as above so below, sit in these ancient waterways, and I'm not going to go into stricken in too much detail, but you can see here this is the water. You see, you've also got the North Ugi water, but this is man-made. You can see how straight that is. This is what's left of an ancient waterway. You can see bodies of water everywhere, but that ancient waterway has very much been drained through mining and so on, and if you continue on you'll come to these locks, bodies of water, fisheries, and it's just, but it's not. These were waterways harnessing, that's not a waterway, but it's a forest where a lot of water came in, here, and it eventually, you can see, made its way through St Fergus, which is a giant starport, and so on. I want to look at Stellarium again here, and I want to show, if we can get this round the right way, I want to show why it's so important that Donald Trump, how does it manifest in the heavens, and who is he? Is Donald Trump to be trusted? Is any of them to be trusted if they're in power? Are they to be trusted? from what I'm understanding and reading from the heavens and the places that they move around to, the places that they travel, and the dates in which they travel. For example, the 13th or the 11th of March, or the summer solstice, the spring equinoxes. They move to certain places, starforts, which for me, I'm realising that these starforts are connected as above. So it's to do with energy, and a lot of these ceremonies, a lot of these ceremonies that they attend, in places that they visit, airports that they fly into, like Donald Trump's always obviously flying into Aberdeen Airport, and the reason why is because it's a portal, but it sits in these ancient waterways in the House of Cephas, and the House of Cephas is Peter. Peter Cooter, but Peter is Peter's pearly gates, and you come through the house of resurrection, through the house of Cephas. You, the Son of God, resurrected in Aries. Perseus, the Andromeda, is connected also to the blood and the sacrifice of the blood, and the blood being holy and cleansed. And the whole story about Cassiopeia and Cephas is Cassiopeia, his wife, boasted how beautiful she was and how beautiful her daughter was, and the sea nymphs, which is here, the sea nymphs are the Pleiades, really. It's the seven sisters of the Pleiades became jealous, and they summoned one of the other gods, can't remember exactly who it is now, to bind up Andromeda, the daughter of Cassiopeia and Cephas. And Perseus, the son of God, came along. This represents us, the blood of the Lamb, and there's the Lamb, and he came in. I'm saying he came. The story of Jesus, the Lamb of God, is to do with the period of Aquarius, the water bearer pouring out, but he came as in the Messiah. Jesus came in the time of Pisces, and he was the Lamb of God on the tree of life. And this whole thing here, if you see my other videos, is the Ark in Heaven. But what holds it all together, and why is this? Why am I talking about all this? I'm sorry, I'm trying to fit a lot in because it's quite vast. Because this area basically is Aberdeen. So this is a perfect shot here. You would have this area here is Perth, Perthshire, Dundee's, Cassiopeia, and of course the houses move around, but this is where they're prominent, where they prominently live. And Trump is here. Yeah, right, see where the lizard is. There are all sorts of creatures that have crept in, and Trump's golf course, not just Trump, but Trump is here. The airport is here, Aberdeen Airport. And the Belmeady coast and the Meany estate is up here, and it's immediately under and within the resurrection of the cross. The cross signals the swan, and this is why the royal family, probably Charlie Boy now, but this is why the royal family protect the swan. And you've got the fox, I mentioned that earlier on. So let's go back to the map and let's look at not the Ministry of Defence lands or the place stricken further north, but let's look further south to Trump. I've given an overview of how the heavens move over this part of the northeast, and even how it's laid out that Stricken itself is a swan. But we'll go to the new borough, and new borough is a bar. Look at the towers on that. A bar is how we measure pressure, how we measure a barometer measures the temperatures in the air and all that sort of stuff. So a new bar. We also use the term alright bro, alright borough, alright bro, alright bro, and it's a legal term, the bar, but it's to be on the level. Alright bro, my brother. So there's much more to it, but what we're looking at here is what we're going to look at is, the Meany estate. And the Meany estate, there was a whole commotion of Trump buying this estate, and what we're looking at right here is a fabricated coastline. This here is the Starfort. This higher ridge is the outer feet of a Starfort, and there's a foot out there, and there's a foot out there, and these are feet down here. Of course, the roads, the old road is gone, and they've changed so much as in to hide it. And here's the foot down here, and here's a point here. So this is one of those sort of big turtle shape starforts. You can see up here. They have to put the roads higher up because round all this was all water. So the water would come in, and these various strange, it's all sculptured now, but these strange tree line, these were actually waterways carrying into the botanic gardens and their wall gardens in order to create power. And the wall garden's still there. Wherever you find a courtyard building, these just were machines. The salt water would come in through the canals, and funny thing is they use places of exercise and football stadiums, tennis courts. They have our beings in these places now, and that's what Trump's all about. This is a huge starfort here, which you can see. You can see here if you know what you're looking for, and that's why there was so much commotion for him to buy. And not only that, I mean, why do they want to buy this? Because this North Sea, it's not what we've been told. This here was joined to the rest of the Danish, the Denmark people, and the Copenhagen, and this, these people are the tribes of Dan. And this land, there was a landmass known as Doggerland, land which became the North Sea after the catastrophe. It all collapsed, and this is why Trump and the likes desire this part of Britain's a tree of life, but this is why they desire this part of the tree, because their Atlantis sunk in the Dead Sea. This is the sea. As you get down to the Firth of Forth near Edinburgh, it becomes it's the River Jordan. The Mare Judea is the Latin name, or the Sea of Judea, but up here is Atlantis and the Dead Sea, and and they want to be there. They want to be facing their Atlantis, but the power obviously still generates and resonates through these hidden waterways, which you can actually see here, the physical shape of the starport. Do we see that? Yeah, do we see that? Now what is that? As I was trying to show, we began I'm trying to show we begin with the House of Cephas. I'm all higgledy-piggledy now. Where am I? The House of Cephas. And it's more than likely that one of these star constellations, I mean, maybe even the Templar type cross that's there, it's called Alder Raman, and this artist's impression that there could be something to do with that. But that's why Trump's there. He's no nice person. He's one of them. And what's going on? Why there? Well, if we take, let's see, there's a star there. Okay, so if we take, it's called the Many estate, or the Many estate. If we take from there and we go to the Isle of Lewis, is it Lewis, where his family's from? It's up near somewhere up there. I can't remember, it's there somewhere. If I take a line to where his family are from, or MacLeod's, how can I say it? The MacLeod family are, I don't mean this by every MacLeod, but the MacLeod family are a strange family, and Trump's family are from the Isle of Lewis. The Isle of Lewis, how can I say it, is the Isle of the Levites, the priests. And what we understand as the Bible, the priests were not allowed to inherit, but there was a great circle and a giant causeway, and it came all the way around. Doggerland was part of that bridge, a great circle. The core of the circle, as I've been showing people, around the great tree. I should actually be out further. but there is a great circle that goes around, and our ancestors travelled around that great circle around the tree. And the Isle of Lewis is where the biblical Levites, that's what the word Lewis means, had their monasteries and teachings, and what we understand as Aristotle and Plato and all that. They were all from this area. This was the great Hebridean Isles, the Hebrides, the Hebrew people, and they were the Magi's. And so it's very important that Trump's family, Germans, the Drumps, came here. But I've highlighted this line, and it's very important. I'm not going to go into it in this video because I probably think we'd enough so far, and really got nowhere. I wanted to talk about a lot more, but these very high points and pyramids all the way down, very important places like fortresses and castles. And what are these castles? These castles and mounds which sit in ancient waterways. These castles and mounds, I mean, there's Starfort right there, represent as above so below. So what we're basically seeing, I can't draw a line from this, but what we're basically seeing is a line through Cephas, the House of Resurrection, and we'd be going over, across, excuse me, nope. This is the arc, and this is the ecliptic. So Scorpio, Libra, Virgo, Leo, Cancer, Gemini, Taurus, Aries, and Aquarius, Pisces, and then Aquarius. And this is the bar I was talking about earlier on the level. And if we look at Trump's alignment, if we look at Trump's alignment in the heavens, he's aiming beyond Cygnus the Swan to the Aquila, and of course the Aquila and the Fox 666 FOX, and this represents America and the Great Shield of Heaven. America is not the Great Shield of Heaven, but they've taken the emblem, just like you see in all the elite families. They have this double-headed eagle, or the bird, or the eagle, or even in the Roman imperial, and anything imperial is usually this eagle. But that line from Trump's, this is why it's so important. He's uniting Atlantis through the heavens, through the constellations. And what is the beauty of it all? What is the crux of it all? Why are they doing it? Why are they playing these games? Because right here and right there is the equinoxes, the solstice lines. You could stand here. That used to be a great waterway, but you could stand anywhere here and calculate time. Why? Because Arthur, the Great Bear, and as we slip back into this here, Arthur the Great Bear moves. There's Arthur the Great, our Father who art in heaven. Art in heaven. Hallowed be thy name. A halo, a circle. Everything, the North Pole, the Pole Star, Polaris, sits there at the right there at the heel of Arthur, and Draco, the bloodlines, the Draco separates Arthur from the little bear. See the little bear there? And Arthur, our father, and the little bear. And Trump is a Draco, and he's a Draco bloodline, and it's a double cross really. They've hidden who we are historically and what we are. And just back to the topography map, if I go up to, there's Aberdeen, there's Ellen, and here's where the Trump golf course is, just above Balmeedy. Now they completely blew this to bits. This was a Starfort during the war, and they put bunkers and all sorts of, but these were tunnels, not bunkers. And here is what we see as the Many Estate. As you can see, the Many Estate sits it's been built upon. These are the salt basins, and the star itself sits right here, and the water passes around the many estates through canal systems and into areas we understand as Foveren, Udney Station, Udney Green, and this then feeds into the great waterways of Pitmedden, and it takes you out towards Tarbes and Bank, I'm probably pronouncing that wrong, joining you with these great waterways at Methlick, Fyvie, Turriff, and then on to Huntly. These were all giant waterways, and as I mentioned before, what are the waterways? The waterways are the places between, the dark spaces there between. And Draco moves around too, and all these move around, but this is the Corona Borealis, and as I've said in my other videos, these are the 3 steps of masonry. And the journey, this part of northern Scotland, which we're looking at, Aberdeen, is very important, because these ancient waterways are the places between the stars, Huntly, Keith, and they eventually lead us up to the top of the tree, to all these waterways at Durness and so on, what we call Loch Hope. These are all ancient waterways that fed down, but what's actually happening, it's not just feeding down over Scotland, it's what's above is so below. And yeah, Scotland is the head, Britain is the head. It's quite unusual in this thing, it actually looks like a head with a little crown on top of it. Ireland at one point would, at one stage, would have been closer in. It is this, maybe saying too much here again, but this is Jacob's ladder. This is the spine of Jacob, Atom, and this is his stomach, and this is his head, and this is his other part of his stomach, and his abdomen and Liverpool, and Manchester, his chest, and where the air is, and Winchester is down in the bottom of his bottom, where your wind comes out, and so on. You know, so, and this was the body of Adam, as above so below, written in the heavens. But the waterways, what we see, or what we don't see, what has been hidden from us, is all these estates represent stars up in the heavens, and the waterways are not only the blackness in the heavens, the waters above and the waters below, they are pinnacles and points, which are parts of the human brain also, because this is the head, and the castles, the towers, are points in the human head, the brain, and the channels in the brain that carry the Christ oil and all the other necessary lubricants and crystalline structure that needs to be carried through the body. And this is the body, the British Isles as the Covenant lands.